What do you regret doing in a dare? Someone dared me to go up to my crush and ask if she clogged up my toilet at my house. She said yes. It's not your house anymore. Not me. But my brother's friend was dared to spray an entire can of deodorant on the back of his hand. 3rd degree aerosol burn and permanent scarring. Happened to me too. I wanted to prove how tough I was in the locker room at 12 years old. It was some cool ice type deodorant spray. My hand was numb for the rest of the day. Got the gnarliest pus-filled blister that changed color several times as it healed. The back of my hand still has a coin-sized drowned scar 11 years later. Running the bases naked and sliding into home. All was okay until the slide. Dude, why the FCK would you slide naked? You want a dick burn cause that's how you get a dick burn. Running a friend over. He said he wanted to be a stunt guy. I had a crappy old car. We dared him to get hit by a car. I was AskReddit dared to hit him. Long story short, he went to the hospital and I needed a new windshield. Lucky he didn't sue me. Next time. Instead of I want to be a stunt man. Okay, let me hit you with my car. Let's perhaps try. I want to be a stunt man. Okay. You should start your multiple years worth of extensive stunt training as soon as possible. And then I'll hit you with my car. Double quote. During a primary school camp. In the boys' cabin I was in, we were doing truth or dare. I decided to join in. I chose to be asked a truth. I was asked who my crush was. And I told truthfully. A week later my crush came to me to tell me she did not like me. When I asked who told her, she just said James. There's 2 Jameses in my year level. They were both in that cabin. I have no idea which one snitched. Never played truth or dare after that. Asking a girl out for a joke. Turns out she had a almost maniac overly protective boyfriend. He beat the shit out of me. This wasn't adulthood, mind you. This was in early teenager years. So please don't overreact. Edit. Fixed adjectives. When I was a teenager I tried the cinnamon challenge. For those unaware. You take a spoonful of ground cinnamon and try to eat it. And it doesn't go well, lol. I put it in my mouth. And it immediately sucked all of the moisture out of my mouth and sinuses. To make matters worse, the drying out of my sinuses caused me to sneeze. Making cinnamon fly out of both of my nostrils like a dragon snorting flames. I then proceeded to dry heave in the bathroom for the next 5 minutes or so. Pretty sure fate was the most miserable 5 minutes of my life so far. I still can't stand the taste of cinnamon. More than 10 years later. The cinnamon challenge can really FCK you up if you end up deeply inhaling a bunch of powdered cinnamon. Your lung tissue will not like it and get really inflamed. That can start filling your lungs up with fluid. That's bad. Oh man. In my 20s. I was one of those quiet people who would get drunk and suddenly have all of the personality in the world. In one particular instance. On dares. I kissed a dude and showed a whole party of people the goat. The fact that a whole group of my friends were subject to seeing my balls and probably my butthole too is one of those thoughts that hits me as I'm trying to fall asleep at night. Licking a frozen pole during winter. Arsh TFCK, that hurts. I was 7 years old when I did it. Full on tongue on a metal chain from the swings. Recess bell rang and everybody was leaving and left me there. Well, as dumb as I was, I just yanked my head backwards and had an awful taste of blood for 2 weeks. To this day, I still have scars and I'm now 25 yo. Taking off my shirt and flexing my pecs for a slightly drunk female roommate and her cousin. But they kept singing the Get Your Tits Out song. Was dared to get naked and run outside. I say naked, but in actuality I was left with my underwear and a stupid hat. My friends locked me out there for about 15 to 20 minutes while they were shooting me with a BB gun. Fun times. Once my friends made me hump a wall in 7th grade and said I wouldn't do it because I was chicken. I did it. They told on me. Got sent to the office. Pissed off as they told everyone about relative stuff. Edit. Holy crap, I've never gotten so many upvotes. Thanks everyone. Got my scrotum, professionally, pierced at a house party. I still remember looking down drunkenly to see a good friend and pisser cleaning my balls while a good chunk of my friends watched on. Thankfully this was before social media and smartphones. Riding my skateboard down a large road hill a second time. 5 torn ligaments. 4 surgeries over 10 years and still more problems to come. Damn. I did that once on a longboard. My acceleration was out of control and all I could do was try not to fall off since I was going too fast to steer. Had to bail. Felt like I was going 40 mph to avoid hitting a car. I have no clue how. But I got up with only road rash. No broken bones. No torn ligaments. No head injury. I wasn't wearing a helmet. I was a f***ing idiot, I know. I don't think I've been on a longboard since. I took on what has to be one of the craziest dares of all time. I was with a group of guy friends and there was one girl there. We were having a campfire down at the town's local campsite. We were all recent high school graduates just looking to have a little fun before we went off to college. My buddy got accepted into UCLA. So it was kind of a celebration party for him as well. He was super excited about it because apparently his dad and his dad's dad both went to UCLA and got law degrees. He wasn't able to get a full ride, though, because when he was a junior he flunked out of home economics because he would always show up late and burn the quiche. I think the teacher had one out for him too. He would always make him go first whenever we did presentations because he knew my friend had a slight amount of speaker's anxiety. I remember one time my friend and I were accidentally late for class and he made us do push-ups as a punishment. Which, looking back now, I think was against the rules. We should have said something to the principal to try to get that guy fired. Eating a slug for 50p. You can die from parasites doing this shit. I had to read the Communist Manifesto. That was required reading in a college class for me. I had to kiss my crush as a dare and in broad daylight. So I did, and then everybody figured out I had a crush on insert name. Same here, I was dared to lick the ear of my crush. This was the 1980s. I went up to her and started slurping into her ear. She did not resist and started getting excited. I continued to tongue her ear good and she started to tell me to keep going. I managed to get a bit of earwax out and swallowed it. I couldn't resist her ear and started taking my pants off. I was rubbing one out real good and I continued to suck on her ear. I started dry humping while nibbling on her ear. I was in ecstasy, and after that day my life has been in a downhill ever since as I try to chase that high but can never achieve it even with meth. Certainly not the worst thing in the world. But when I was 19 I jumped off a pier into the water. Turns out the water was shallow and I fractured my foot. I only regret it because I have always been a cautious and calculating person. In this instance I just wanted to be liked and it ended up with me in an Italian emergency room. So I guess the regret isn't jumping. What I regret is thinking I needed people to think I was cool. The same thing happened with my friend's foot and a pier earlier this year. She had to walk on crutches for months and had to quit her job as a lifeguard. A very competent swimmer, but completely misjudged the depth of the water when she went to this particular beach. So for all the thrill seekers, don't jump into water if you don't know how deep it is. Open bracket. Running around the neighborhood screaming I love being f***ed in the ass. Wearing only boxers. In the middle of the day. That time I sucked that dude's. Never mind. Bro. Don't tell me you sucked his toe. Drinking a glow stick. I was around 11. It was a few days after Halloween. And I was having a sleepover, so of course we played truth or dare. When I was dared to drink a glow stick, I didn't even think twice about it. Once my friends started freaking out about my bright green saliva, I ran downstairs crying and had to have my mom help me rinse out my mouth. Only to see this glowing shitty going down the drain. It's funny now. But I honestly thought I was going to die at that point. At summer camp I, female, was playing truth or dare with a small group of 10-12 year olds. They dared me to kiss this boy. But the boy didn't want to participate. They pressured him into sitting in a chair while the rest of the group formed a circle around us until I kissed him on the mouth. My family found out later and I was given an early lesson on consent and peer pressure. There was an evening after the closing ceremony of some convention with lots of young people of 16-23 years old, and me with my team headed right into some restaurant to celebrate our hard work as journalists. I was 16 BTW. Now I'm almost 19. The whole thing was basically like people are taking roles of various countries' delegates and represent them in models of international organizations such as UN or OPEC. So back to what I was talking about. We were enjoying our time at the restaurant, eating pizza. The guy, let's call him Paul, who was older a bit than us, bought my pals alcoholic drinks because they asked him to, but literally none of us except him were 18 at that moment. I didn't drink at all that evening though. And at some point one of my fellow group members said, "Hey, Mephisody, Paul, kiss each other." And I was like really cheery at that time, laughing at all stupid shit we were talking about, and I think I considered it funny to kiss Paul, and so yeah. My first kiss was with him. I did regret at first because it's nothing serious, but then about 6 months after it started to feel wrong because Paul then turned out to be not that nice and kind person at all. I'm not thinking of it too much and it doesn't bother me tbh. Showing my breast to my friends. Also with a lot of boys. It was dark. But I still regret it. Because it was the first time I did something like that. I was like 6 and had a new girl's phase. My brother made me bet some ludicrous amount of money that I'd never kiss a girl. Once puberty hit I started getting pretty frustrated about it. It wasn't really a dare. But I let my friends pepper spray me in the face because everyone else was doing it. We planned it out well, I think. We had towels on hand and large bowls filled with milk and ice water. It still hurt like a moth FK and my brother recorded the whole thing. I don't regret it that much. It was my first time getting drunk. We were in a friend's trailer. His mom was staying the night somewhere else. We all get pretty wasted on natural light. One of my friends passes out. He's out cold. Or so we thought. Friend dares me to piss on his face to try to wake him up. Says he'll give me $5. I'm at that point of drunkenness where everything seems awesome and feeling like there are no consequences to anything. So I whip out my DCK and start to piss on his face. He totally wakes up. I go running out of the trailer. Pants still down. Still pissing. Still laughing. Friends eventually got him calmed down. Or so we thought. The rest of that school year was hell for me. He never let it go. And I never got the $5 I was promised. I never regret my dares. But I know a guy that done a dare that I still think about 15 years later and I wasn't even there. Basically there was a few guys and one of them took a shitty on a piece of tin foil and they dared another in the group to eat it and they'd give him a cute AT as well. He did it and the video went all over my school. He ate the whole shitty and it wasn't small. My friend dared me to put on his mom's swimsuit. It was new. So I did, and let's say coverage was limited at best. Then he took some pictures of me grinning like an idiot. Giving 2 thumbs up to the camera. I might not regret it, but the friend left the Polaroids lying around the house. So his parents saw them and I could never look them in the eyes until years later. Someone once dared me to profess my undying love to a friend of mine. She immediately burst into tears and ran out of the room. Turns out she had a crush on me. Neither of us knew till one of her friends yelled at us. I went over to a friend's house after work one time where it was just me, her, and her other friend. At some point it turned into truth or dare. Of course it was always dare and it went about exactly as you'd expect it to go for a bunch of HRNY teenagers. But at some point my friend dared me to. Specifically, FCK and CM in her friend. As you might be able to tell by the throwaway. That's what happened. When I was 8 I got the dare to go lay on a piece of wood in the woods. The wood was very old and all torn up, so my dumbass brain thought that if I laid on the corner I would be fine. But then as I was falling down onto the wood I noticed there was a f-king nail. Yes, a rusty, long, Bent nail pointing towards my fat F-king stomach. I lay down and chaos ensued. The nail went halfway into my stomach and when I went to get up I ripped the nail out of the board. So there I am crying in pain running back to my friends as the nail falls out. Then of course as I thought anything couldn't get worse I step on the F-king nail. But it fails to go in my foot. Later when I told my mom the next day she convinced me I was sick from tetanus. I got a tetanus shot later that day. And that is the story of me getting impaled by the same nail 2 times. Ate a duck egg. At a party. Almost everyone except me knew it was spoiled. You would need one of those 10,000 frame per second camera to accurately capture the vomit explosion. One of my old friends told me just the other day. The explosion in Beirut reminded him of that awful night. Edit. Raw duck egg. My brother dared me to drink his mystery drink. No. It wasn't CM or anything like that. It was hot sauce and vinegar. To this day I still don't trust him to make me drinks lol. If you want a bad drink at a party I might scrambles eggs, Coke, vinegar and potato puree in a glass. It smelled so rancid that everyone was so surprised when the guy didn't puke. Was at the after party of an office Christmas party in a hotel room. We had a huge Rubbermaid bucket full of ice water and drinks. Someone started playing Bob for beers. A collection was started and I was dared to hold my head underwater for 60 seconds. The tip of my nose had to touch the bottom the whole time. I did it and earned about $40 bucks. But my ears were F-ked for years afterwards. Got ear and sinus infections almost weekly. About 6 months after this I was on a flight and my ears plugged up so bad on the landing I had to go to the ER. The pain was excruciating. Took about 3 years to return to what I would consider normal. That was the hardest worked for $40 bucks ever. Well, like an hour ago a female friend dared me to send her a pic of me in bikini underwear with a boner. I forgot my phone was linked to messages for web on my work laptop on the work network and I don't know if the IT security team can see that traffic, but if they can I am most certainly fired. When I was a kid we had music class. And the teacher was pretty crazy. One time she took our chairs away. So for a few weeks, maybe a month or 2, we had to sit on the floor. Finally she decided we had behaved well enough that we could have our chairs back. On that day, my friend dared me to pull some kid's chair out as he was sitting down. I didn't even think about why that could be a bad idea. I did it and he fell on his butt. The teacher saw and was furious. I'm sure you know what happened next. She said something along the lines of "This is why we can't have nice things," and took all our chairs away again. And the whole class was mad at me. Not a fun spot to be in around that age. It was somewhere between 3 and 5 grade. Me. Running but naked nasty at a friend's party at night with a motorcycle helmet on screaming "I'm on fire, I'm on fire." Yay. Still think about how embarrassing that was. Mid 80s we dared a kid, 9th grade, to put lighter fluid on his shoes. Light it. And run so he'd look like a cartoon. It was dark. Was cool at first but then it went up his legs too. My friend got dared to kiss me on the lips by these 2 chicks. Now we are best friends and we realized that we would have rather kissed each other than the 2 whales we were with lol, so we did it. The next day was one girl having to kiss my dick. I prefer kissing my friend. Ice cube with salt. Anywhere on my body. I picked right under my boob. For those that don't know, salt and ice basically turns to dry ice and cause burns. I had a huge ice cube burn under my nipple. Still have the scare that looks like a birthmark now lol. Chilling at a house party. One guy was being a real dick. Everyone was getting pissed. Owner of the house says, "Hey Wombat Inferno. Take care of this asshole." I'm a little baked. Annoyed at the request. But I worked as a bouncer at the time so it's NBD. As I get up the dude turns to me and shouts, "I f-king dare you. I will f-king kick your ass." So this 5 feet 4 110 pound little shitty starts talking trash. My 6 feet 4 inches 220 pound self gets up and starts walking towards him. He proceeds to take a swing at me. hits me square in the jaw. It wasn't much of a punch. He realizes that and promptly bolts. I give chase. He's out the back. He jumps the fence with me on his heels. I go through the fence and grab him by the seat of his pants. Yank him back through the hole that I made and drag him across the backyard. Through the house. Out the front door and to his car. He was fighting the whole way but couldn't get free. He promptly leaves. Well, let me tell you. The next morning sucked. Fences hurt and I was feeling it. Moral of the story. Don't run through a fence. They are angry creatures. And hurt. Asking the girl I was taking to homecoming to be my girlfriend in a rap. She was already really into me and I had a whole thing planned out with flowers and a sign, but my best friend dared me to do it in a rap. Was in my cringe teenage rap phase. Well, I ended up doing it at lunch. In front of about 20 people. She was embarrassed as hell and said yes. Then took me aside later and told me that was the most embarrassing moment of her life and she'd never think of me the same again. Homecoming was weird and we didn't talk the rest of the year after. I ate a spoon of toothpaste around age 12. I felt really sick and did not know till years later how dangerous it is. Don't do it. I, 11M at the time, got dared by my babysitter, 21F, to kiss my best friend, 9F, and she recorded it since she said we were gonna get married later in life. I'm now gay. And she's now in prison for statutory rape. I feel really bad about it and regret so f***ing much. But I said the N-word to a random kid. It wasn't even for a lot of money. It was for like $5 and my brother didn't even pay me. Swam across a lake in freezing temperature. Halfway across I was 100% sure I would die. The last 50 meters it was the slowest I have ever swam in my life. But I was so happy to see how close to the shore I was. Then I had 45 minutes on my moped to get home. Not the brightest moment of my life. My sister is 4 years older than me. When I was 5 her friend dared me to call this black lady the N-word while we were waiting for my mom in a grocery store parking lot. The women found my mom and chewed her ass out about it. Horribly embarrassing to think about it now that I'm old enough to realize what I said. My mom is a really wonderful lady and didn't raise us like that. Random women didn't deserve that. Kids are real f***ed up sometimes.